Itsuki is the typical nerd who cares about his grades to join the university. But his life gets a complete 180 when the school forces him to play a new online game. He didn't want to, but he played it, proving that the biggest level 1 noob in history can become the strongest player, humiliating level 99 players. You'll follow the story of Itsuki, a typical excellent student, but at the same time, invisible to most people. Even the school guard doesn't recognize him and asks for his ID. Itsuki catches up with his friend, Kodo, who talks about PSO2, Phantasy Star Online 2, an online RPG game set in space where the player goes to different planets to do missions. He tries to convince him to play it, but Itsuki does not take it seriously. Itsuki then gets an email telling him to go to the student council room. There he meets Izumi again, who appoints him as the new vice president and gives him his first task. To play PSO2, Itsuki starts the game, randomizes his character, and it looks just like him. In-game, he meets a mecha named Soro, who offers him advice and helps him on his first quest. When he's unsure of where to go, Darker, a large insect-like creature, materializes in front of him. It hurls a scarlet substance in his direction that transforms into eggs. Multiple Darkers that are nearly as big as him emerge. Itsuki swings his sword in their direction, but he gets hit, causing him to fall to the ground. He looks up and sees the Darker is getting ready to attack him, until Soro's flare lights hit it from the opposite way. He asks Itsuki if he's okay and the latter thanks him for saving him. Soro strikes the Darkers with a massive flare that he shoots into the sky. Itsuki launches an attack, but he sees that the Darker is out of reach. He wonders what to do until Soro instructs him to change into gun mode. He then uses his weapon, which automatically switches to a gun. He shoots the Darker and tries to aim for its weak spot. However, he fails on his first tries because the Darker is moving. He concentrates and shoots a blue flare that vanishes the enemy. Itsuki reports back to Izumi the next day. She warns him not to let his grades slip, and he should fulfill his responsibility as a vice president. Itsuki's class gets a new student, Eika, and he's tasked to show her around. But her behavior is strange, as if she's stalking him. He goes back in game, and he starts getting confident about how he's doing in the game. But Soro tells him that he's a failure of an arcs. He later speaks about it to Kodo to understand why his friend got mad at him. Kodo asks who's his friend, and Itsuki replies Soro. Kodo is surprised because Soro is a high-level solo player. He then reveals Soro got mad because Soro was protecting Itsuki the whole time. Later, Itsuki appears to save Soro, who was surrounded by some enemies. He dodges the enemies' attacks and leaps high into the air. He then uses his gun to fire some grenades, trapping the Dark in fire. He restores Soro's health, and the two attack the enemies and destroy the cage. Soro apologizes and praises his outstanding gameplay. The next day, Itsuki reports his experience, and Izumi appoints Eika to help him with his reports. Later, Itsuki and Izumi meet again, and she confesses that she's Soro. But he's not surprised, he already knew, because Soro's speech patterns is the same as hers. She then invites him to go to the Arcs Fan Festa, an annual event that gathers players from PSO2 in real life. There, he meets Silva, one of the regulars he played with, and he meets some of his other companions. He meets Yumiko and Last Samurai, who are a married couple in real life. He also meets Kid, who's an old man. When Itsuki returns to the game, he finds that Izumi has changed her character to look like her. The two go on a rescue mission together. However, the number of enemies has increased. Itsuki notices someone eliminating the Darkers by itself. He recognizes her as Eika after seeing her movements. They send her a friend request, but she denies it and walks away, leaving them both puzzled. The student council goes to a hot spring. Itsuki gets surprised to see that Yumiko and Last Samurai are the owners. In the hot spring, Izumi bans Itsuki from playing PSO2. His grades are failing due to his addiction to the game, which affects the student council's proposal to the faculty. Itsuki and Izumi talk to each other while taking a bath outside, but they are cut off when they see Eika fly into the air. The two rush to Yumiko and Last Samurai, telling them that a Darker got out from his console screen, but they see a can of alcohol and believe he's just drunk. A few days later, Itsuki and Izumi find out that Kano, one of the student council members, is missing. They try to look for her and see Eika asking students if Kano plays PSO2. Izumi gets more worried about Kano's disappearance, so Itsuki suggests logging into PSO2 as Kano might be online. They meet Last Samurai and Yumiko, who tell them that they saw someone with the same name as Kano, but they find it strange because she's wearing their school uniform in-game, which is impossible. They try to look for her and notice someone inside a Darker's cocoon. Itsuki runs to the battleground without hesitating. He takes a lot of hits from the Dark and starts to get tired. He manages to get closer to the cocoon, but he gets trapped and the darkers shoot him. Luckily, Izumi is able to save him. He's determined to save the person in the cocoon, but realizes that the two are surrounded by darkers. Izumi engages with her twin gun while charging an attack. Itsuki dashes toward the direction of the cocoon, but several darkers materialize in front of him. Eika shows up and bursts into the cocoon. They discover that Kano is the one who is trapped there. While fleeing from the darkers, Eika holds Kano in her arms, but one of them slashes the back of Kano's hand. Itsuki sees that Izumi is trapped in the enemy's hands, so he charges forward and swings his sword back and forth to save her. He cuts the darker in half, and Kodo arrives with backup in time. The next day, Itsuki and Izumi see Kano walking towards them at school, and she tells them she was found collapsed on the side of the road and was taken to the hospital. Itsuki notices the bandage on her hand, and recalls how she got wounded in the game. He asks her about it, but she reveals doesn't know how. Itsuki panics as he starts to think that she was inside the game. Izumi insists it's just a coincidence. Later, Itsuki asks for Izumi's help in game to look for Eika, whom he suspects to know something. He sees Silva and Kid and asks them about Eika, but they never heard about a player with her name. Silva then reveals a college student went missing in her neighborhood, and according to Kid, some staff from ARC's Fan Festa also went missing. Itsuki continues to look for Eika in-game until Kid tells him that he saw her. He goes to the battleground and observes Eika engage in combat with the dragon-like darker. He enters the scene and leaps into the air when he notices that she cannot finish it. But due to his recklessness, he takes a heavy blow from the darker and falls to the ground. The darker creates a flame ball and shoots it in his direction. However, it doesn't kill him. Instead, his character transforms into someone emitting a blue aura, and his weapon glows brighter than before. It yields the power surrounding it and fires it toward the darker, which causes it to split in half. Eika comes to check on him and he asks who she is. She tells him that she's a guardian, and she follows it with a question if he already noticed his appearance. He looks at his new appearance and tries to ask about it to Eika, but she already vanished away. Back to reality, Itsuki starts to feel a sore pain in his side. He checks it and he remembers a darker hit him on the same spot. He then notices that his gaming console is starting to emit a red aura. He throws it out of panic and sees a darker getting out from the screen. It starts moving toward him, but Eika shoots a flare at it. He doesn't understand what's going on. Yet, another darker appears from behind and he starts to run away. The darker pursues him and a blue light appears from his palm, and it starts to take the shape of the weapon he uses in the game. He blocks the darker's strike and changes into his in-game character clothes, awakening his true powers. He quickly cuts the darker in half and questions Eika about what's going on. Eika transports him to the game and he meets Kasra, the ARC's intelligence's commander. Kasra explains that they're not characters created for a game, they are real people. He explains PSO2 is not a game, but it's a parallel world. Kasra then opens a door and Itsuki gets amazed to see what's behind it. A world full of spaceships and galaxies, which Kasra calls the Oracle. He also explains the disappearances happening to Itsuki's world. It's the work of Darkers, who need to find a human body compatible to become Dark Faltz's vessel, who will then invade Earth. But now they can fight back because Itsuki unlocked his power, Fountain Arts. He explains Eika was secretly eliminating Darkers on Earth while watching over him, but now they can eliminate them together. Itsuki walks to the battleground by himself and encounters a massive Darker. He is confident, yet his weapon does not penetrate its body. He is repeatedly struck and stepped on by it because it is powerful. His weapon begins to crack as it holds him, and his power is gradually betraying him. Fortunately, he is saved by Eika, Echo, and Zeno. Echo heals him but Darkers reappear. He assaults them without stopping because he remembers what happened to him. But the Darker deflects all of his blows, but Zeno intervenes to sever a part of it. He tells Itsuki that those are boosted enemies. After clearing them out, Eika orders Itsuki to stay out of the fight. He's just getting in the way, making him think he's a mess. Back to Earth, Itsuki notices a Darker appear before him. He runs frantically and hides. Eika appears and instructs him to run, but she gets hit during the fight and falls to the ground. The Darker tries to finish her off, but Itsuki picks up a gun and shoots it. He's determined to fight, and he changes into his in-game appearance. He continues to hit the Darker and swings his sword. Eika uses her last strength to buff him up with some of her power. He blows the Darker away and faces it outside. With a stern look, he suddenly charges his weapon toward it, finishing it off. Later, Itsuki and Izumi are throwing out the trash and they notice a Darker charge toward them. He pushes Izumi and gets hit by the attack. The Darker walks towards him while he struggles to stand up. Izumi screams until a pink flare comes from both hands, transforming into twin guns. She fires in the darker's direction, and she eventually changes into her in-game appearance. She then shoots a pink beam toward it, making the darker vanish. Eika arrives at the scene and the darker starts to multiply in numbers. An enormous type of darker appears behind. Eika attacks them, but one gets a hold of Izumi. Itsuki transforms and swings his weapon side by side. He runs his blade toward the enemies as he tries to save Izumi, but the darker disappears, taking her into a portal. Itsuki and Eika go find Izumi. They see a cocoon at the top of a tall tower. It emits a red beam into the sky, and he sees Izumi in a different form. She makes multiple portals that shoot red beams toward them. Eika tells Itsuki to run as it is not Izumi anymore, but he gets hit by beams and is projected against the rock, making him pass out. He wakes up in the Oracle, and Kasra explains Izumi is becoming Dark Falt's vessel body. He also explains to him that Dark Falt's is sealed underneath their base, and it will soon become one with Izumi's body and resurrect. As a result, Arcs will fight Dark Falt's. When that happens, Izumi's life will be in danger. The future of all humankind is at stake. Itsuki decides to join the fight and gets surprised to see Koto and their group at the top of the tower, telling him that they will help him. The team charges toward the enemies, and they attack them simultaneously. Yumiko creates an opening that allows them to pass through. Suddenly, a vast darker appears in front of Itsuki and releases a giant sphere to attack him, but he counterattacks it with his weapon. However, it hits him and throws him to the ground while he's in the air. He sees a giant red sphere forming again, but Kano suddenly appears and saves him. Eika heals him, and the rest of the group arrives. Altogether, they attack the darker while Itsuki starts to form a blue aura around him. He aims for its vital part and charges attack, successfully eliminating the darker. But now they see the final form of Dark Falt's in the sky. The Ark's interception silhouette starts arriving at the battlefield. It is Ark's strongest weapon, meaning the all-out attack has begun. Itsuki can't help but think about Izumi's situation as he watches them attack the enemy. He decides to lunge at Dark Falt's position, and it quickly detects his movements. They enter Dark Falt's to save Izumi. Eika clears the way for them to pass through, and Itsuki dodges the laser beams. He gets inside Dark Falt's and starts feeling Izumi's presence. He's suddenly transported into a world full of girly stuff and sees Izumi. There she asks him to hold her hand and does so, but that's Dark Falt's doing to restrain him. While he's struggling, he sees Izumi in his thoughts, motivating him not to give up. Soon enough, he's able to break free while remembering she's his childhood friend. Back in the present, he finds Izumi, but she looks lifeless. He cuts through her ties, and they're able to intertwine their hands. Izumi transforms again, and they destroy Dark Falt side by shooting their weapons. They manage to get outside, where they meet Eika. The three then combine their power and form Stargazer, a large yellow beam, and use its power to split Dark Falt's in half. They're teleported back to Earth, where everyone happily celebrates their victory, and return to their normal life. This is all for this anime. Give the video a like, and I will see you in the next minutes.